Hello, my name is Mike Miller. I'm the Virtual CISO for appTECH Technologies, and we are super excited to get this new series kicked off and in your hands. So there's going to be something that you can take away in every episode. And the great thing about the episodes we're going to be putting out is that you don't have to be techie. Whether you're a tech, whether you're not a tech, we're going to be giving you information that you can take back to your organization in almost every single episode. But first, I want to give you a little bit about my history so you can understand who the heck is Mike. So I got started in IT back in the late 1990s when there were the old squealy dial-up modems. And we had to dial into the internet and we had to listen to the modem squeal, and no one could use the phone while we're on the internet. So we had to use the internet, check our email, and get off of the internet. So my first job was doing user support. So my job was to, when a user calls in and they're having problems, to help them. And to be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I was reading out of a book. I would flip pages and help the user. And over time, I started kind of memorizing things and slowly getting this technology thing figured out. So after that, I got into server administration, where they said, hey, Mike, can you help us run some of these servers that are running our ISP, that are running our dial-up service? So I got into server administration. From there, grew into network administration. After that, I got into a consulting role where I would go out to small, medium, and large businesses, and I would not only help them design their networks, but I would help their team implement them as well. And I loved it. I loved the technology. And then I thought, well, there's this thing called security, which I know nothing about, and I would really like to learn and see what this is all about. So I took some classes, I took some training, and I got into defensive security. So my first job was doing intrusion detection, and I would look at all of these screens and look for anomalies and possible breaches and alerts, and then I would communicate those alerts to the companies and say, hey, something's not right here. So that was a great in for me in defensive security. Then I got into red teaming, which is offensive security, and I thought, well, if I could be well-rounded and understand defensive security and offensive security, I could kind of put those two together and they would mesh well. So I worked helping companies find vulnerabilities so that they could fix them before the bad guys see them. So I was what they called an ethical hacker. I would find those vulnerabilities, report them to the companies, help them possibly mitigate those vulnerabilities to fix them before the bad guys do. So that was my job. From there, I got into security auditing, and I would help companies with things like PCI, which is payment card industry. So these companies all around the world that take all these millions of credit cards, I would help them make sure that their networks were secure. And I would also do compliance auditing for them as well. After that, I got into roles where I would help companies make sure they're following the correct strategy for their security posture, which really leads me to where we are now. I work as a virtual CISO. So I work to help companies strategize their security posture so that they can align their security posture with their business to keep their business protected. Okay, well, I've certainly heard more than enough about me. Now let's talk about my favorite part, security. Where do we start? What do we do? How do we know that our company, our organization, is even being protected? So we're going to talk high level about a framework called NIST. It's the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. And this is a framework that has pretty much become the de facto standard out there for organizations to look at the standards and apply some of those standards to their organization. So it is divided into 5 different categories: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And I'm going to talk briefly about each one. So the first one is identify. So what does that mean? Well, you would not believe how many organizations I've walked into that have no clue what their digital assets are. So they have servers, they have printers, they have laptops and things like that, firewalls, IPSs, and so on, that they have no clue that they even have because their organization has grown so large. Well, if you can't identify the systems that you have, we can't even move to the next category, which is protect. So in identify, in that category, our job is to identify all of the systems that we have. So as one control under that, we want to at least make sure that we have all of our systems identified, that we have a good spreadsheet that identifies everything that we have. Okay, so we've got our systems identified. Where do we go now? Well, now we need to protect them. How do we do that? Well, using the NIST framework, it identifies multiple ways to protect your systems. But just as one to think about, how about system hardening standards? Are there a set of standards that you use before your systems go online? What I mean by that is, are services being locked down very tight? Are administrative default usernames and passwords on your systems being changed? Is there some type of standard that you use to make sure that your systems are hardened, meaning they are very secure before you put them out online and hook them up to the internet or intranet where other people can access those? So that is one small piece of how to protect your systems. So the next one that we're going to talk about is detect. So what is that? Exactly what it says. So we're going to detect things on our systems like anomalies. If there's something that is strange that is happening to our system that isn't normal, maybe it's a peak in traffic that's at 3 a.m. in the morning. We know that's not normal. Well, logs that you can have in place that you're having monitored, antivirus alerts, SIM, which is a system that can detect anomalies and alerts 24/7, can alert you of certain things going on. So having some type of detection process in place is absolutely vital. And the NIST Cybersecurity framework talks and breaks down every one of those controls. So the next one is respond. What do we do with respond, right? So, okay, we've identified our systems, we've protected them, but now our antivirus or our logs are telling us there's something wrong with your systems, there's something going on. So how do we respond? This is called having an incident response plan put in place so that if something happens or if we have an event that triggers because something's been detected, we have a system, we have processes in place so that we can now know how to react and how to get our systems protected. A proper chain of command. And the NIST Cybersecurity framework breaks that down. What do you do in an event of a detection of something going on? It breaks that down and tells us different controls that we can have in place that will help us with that. The following one and the last one is recover. So with recover, it's exactly what it says. So we've had issues. We've identified our systems. We've protected them. We detected an alert. We've responded, right? Using the NIST controls and using their advisory guidelines. But now we need to recover because maybe certain things came offline. So is there a disaster response plan put in place? Are there proper backups? We need to make sure that our business can always maintain continuity, that the business can always do business. So being able to recover quickly. Part of recovery is lessons learned. What have we learned from these events that have happened? How can we properly make sure that these systems are protected and that we can minimize downtime when we have an event triggered? So these are the 5 top NIST categories that break down into several controls underneath that. And it's free. You can get online, you can download it, and we'll put it in the information as well. And my advice to you is look at this NIST guideline. This, again, is the de facto standard that is used. I hope that talking about NIST and talking about just some small things that you can do for your organization help. Learn, take that back, and apply it. For more information on how you can take these NIST controls, the cybersecurity framework, and break it down so that you can really understand it, feel free to reach us at Appalachian Technologies.